Hi, everybody. Wow, I can't believe it. We're in a sukkah, and it's an amazing day. Baruch Hashem. Chag Sameach for everyone. I'm really excited to share some new teachings from our Lubavitcher Rebbe, and it comes from a book called The Hasidic Perspective, a festival anthology. And usually during the holidays, we're just oh my gosh, so busy with a lot of happy things going on. So, but I thought in this way we can have a little more simcha by understanding something of the holiday. So I'm going to start off with this teaching of the Rebbe, and then we'll see how much left over time, and then we'll teach something from before. But since we are sitting in the sukkah now, we know that this is the ultimate mitzvah, almost like going to the mikvah, because when you go in the mikvah, your whole body is immersed, and this is one mitzvah that our whole body could be immersed and surrounded by such holiness. And the teaching is that you should have at least two walls and a half, which really represents Hashem's arm hugging us. Because if you look at your arm, there's two sections and a little half to be able to hug someone. So in the same way, when we're in the sukkah, Hashem is hugging us. So, and in this teaching, the Rebbe starts by bringing a pasuk, Tiku b'chodesh shofar b'keseh leyom chagenu. And this actually literally means blow the shofar on the new month, on the day designated for our festival. B'keseh actually also means concealment. So it says, blow on the shofar on this day of concealment, meaning during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, whatever work that we've been doing the whole year, whatever goals we have for the next coming year are concealed. And we're working to reveal it through participating in these holidays. Come Yom Chagenu, the day of our rejoicing, which is Sukkot, all that we have worked for becomes revealed. So on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's a time where we're unifying all our inner sources. All our soul faculties are being worked on. And we're dealing with the inner aspects of our soul. And that's why it says, Bakshu Panai. And although most literally one would explain this verse as ask for God's face, but it's also asking for your own pnimi. Pnimi meaning inner essence. So on Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, we're asking Hashem, please let our inner essence come out. I'm asking for my inner essence. I'm begging. So we have such a quest to bring out and actually find our inner spirituality and our inner essence. And basically, all of us have this inner essence of godliness, and we're all together. So as we know the teachings that when we learn in Nitzavim, all of you are standing before Hashem, the hewer of your wood, the drawer of your water, and all Jews are united. And at this state of Sukkot, all our essence gets revealed. So, and we know that the four species of the Lulav and the Esrog, is actually bringing it out to the open. So, for instance, everything was concealed on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and now we're taking these four species and saying all are now coming out to the open. All aspects of our soul, even within the four different types of fruit, is really representative of our qualities of our neshama that we're bringing out to the open and binding together. My husband, as he was binding it, the Lulav and Esrog himself, making the rings, I'm like, oh, I'm sure there's some significance to the amount of rings and where it's put in. So 3 are on the bottom and revealed, and that's our nefesh, ruach, and neshama, the 3 aspects of our godly soul that is more revealed. Then there's 1 ring hidden within the middle of the Lulav and Esrog, and nobody sees it, and that is the yechida of our neshama. And one of the rings are a little bit revealed, but not so revealed, and separate, and that's b'chaya. So within the Lulav, the 5 rings represent the 5 dimensions of our soul. Again, nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, and yechida. And the yechida is the most transcendent level of our soul. And that's why it's most hidden in the Lulav. So the Rebbe talks about these 4 types, and we all know them, but we'll do a little quick review. We know that the etrog, it smells good, tastes good. That's the tzaddik who has learning Torah and good deeds. The lulav refers to someone who has Torah but no good deeds, like someone who's constantly learning and doesn't really do so much tzedakah, doesn't do so much besides just learn. So that's why it has a taste. A palm branch is from the date, and the date has a taste, but doesn't smell good necessarily. So then there is the tasting of the date that tastes so good is really the person who's tasting the Torah. And the one that has no smell, that is the lulav, meaning the tall part of the lulav is from the palm branch, from the date. And as you know, smell is equated with mitzvot because it's something that people can see you do. It's something that comes down on the outside, and it's like affecting all the world. Like even though a flower is here, but the smell is over there. So a mitzvah is here, but it's affecting this world and the higher world. So the myrtle branch has a scent. Oh, we already did that. And has no taste. No, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused here myself. The myrtle branch has a scent and has no taste. That is the person who does mitzvahs, but really doesn't learn. So there are people who are constantly doing virtuous deeds, but they don't really have Torah so much. And so then there's the willow branch, and it doesn't have taste nor scent. And this is all individuals that don't necessarily have the Torah nor good deeds. So the question is asked, we're binding them all together, and we're putting it together to atone for each other by doing the lulav and etrog. But why do we say a bracha on the lulav? If the etrog is like the wow of all 4 groups, everyone we should strive for, why is it that we say a bracha on the lulav? That's what we're going to be dealing with. And how does it apply to our life today? So, now some say that because it looks like a weapon, that is the reason why we say it over the lulav, because it's the most pristine looking, it's the tallest, it's the most glamorous of it all, and that when you take it out, it's like you're going out to war, to battle all the inyanim, all the aspects of your soul, and that through doing the lulav and etrog, but especially because the lulav looks like ammunition, like a sword or like a rifle, that this is the reason why we say the bracha over it. true, the Lulav combined with the Sukkah, like, draws down the most amazing holiness. Because what happens is, the Lulav you're doing down here, and it's like allowing the tip of the Lulav to like shake up what's happening in the higher world. And through the Sukkah, the Makif energy, the Makif like holiness of the world that's coming down from the higher world is coming down. And by using the Lulav, we're actually drawing down this holiness. So it's like first we're doing the work down here, and it's called Irusa Dilatata, and it's allowing us to like soak up and draw from above the holy energies from the Sukkah. But here the Rebbe is going to explain something else, although that is true, and that is the teaching of Hasidus. So the Rebbe first points out before he answers why, that on the holidays, all the unity of the Jewish people remains a bit latent. Meaning everyone is in the shul. They're all together, but they're really focusing on themselves. How can I fix this? How can I do that? Please, God, help me. I want to be better at this. At the time of the blowing of the shofar, begins the time of the differences among each Jew. Each different quality of these four categories emerge out in the open, meaning all of a sudden that person who worked harder will have more change. Another person that didn't show up in shul and didn't even hear the Lulav shofar blowing, so he's not going to really change so much. It's what we did individually that starts coming out in a better way during the holidays if we spend the time investing our time in doing this holy work. So now we see that by saying Al Netilat Lulav, it's showing the primacy and the importance of the Lulav over the Esrog, which doesn't seem to make sense because the superior quality, the goal we want for us is to be more like the tzaddik, the one who does learn Torah and does good deeds and the mitzvot. So, first of all, we know that mitzvahs are described as organs of the king. So, really, what is superior? Someone who learns Torah, because when one learns Torah, they're completely united with Hashem. So, if you have to say between the symbolism of here is the Esrog, who does both mitzvahs and does Torah learning, but he doesn't really, it's not his main thing, Torah learning, then clearly the one who mostly spends time on learning Torah is the one who's the superior. And that's why we do the tefillah and the bracha over the lulav. And now he's going to explain it in a bit more detail. So, because when a person is doing a mitzvah, he doesn't completely become one with Hashem. He's bonded to Hashem. His selfhood is still there. I am doing the mitzvah. My body is doing this mitzvah. There's an I still involved. But in the study of Torah, when you start to comprehend and understand Hashem's Torah, your mind grasps the wisdom of Hashem. So then man's intellect becomes a Torah intellect. So your old Torah, your old way of thinking, your old mind becomes washed out by this new wisdom. And it becomes one and united with Hashem.
Become united with Hashem. What does that really mean?
Means that the one time I gave an example of, let's say, a sponge and putting it in front of water, and then the water kind of gets absorbed in the sponge, but the sponge is the sponge, the water is the water, because as soon as you squeeze the sponge, the water comes out. They're together, but not fully united. For instance, like tea and honey. If you mix tea and honey, like you can't separate it. The tea is the honey is the tea. So when you learn Torah, your mind becomes a Torah, meaning the wisdom is in you. And there is no older wisdom, meaning your wisdom becomes united with Hashem's wisdom, and it's mixed. There's no I and my wisdom.
When you say wisdom, do you mean just Torah wisdom or like?
The Torah wisdom. When you learn Torah, meaning whether it's Parsha, whether it's Hasidut, whether it's Halacha, and Shulchan Aruch, whatever it is that you're learning that's God's wisdom, it becomes in you, and it stays in you, and you are enmeshed in it. It's not like you could separate it. So this is the advantage of Torah study. It's such a unity with Hashem. And the Rebbe actually says that this Lulav, representing the person that only has Torah without virtuous deeds, is not as it appears to be. Without virtuous deeds must be clarified. Because obviously these Torah scholars are performing mitzvahs. It's not referring to a Jew who does not practice what he learns. Because it says here, and to the evil man God says, what is it to you to speak of statues? Meaning, this is not the person who does not strive to perform the Torah's teaching. This is someone who basically does the virtuous deeds, but doesn't do additional good deeds. This is the person that does the required amount. This is the Lulav. And that's why his focus is on learning and learning and learning, but he doesn't, let's say, go the extra mile to give more tzedakah. He doesn't go the extra mile to be a chassid, like to really sit in the sukkah even though it's raining. He doesn't go the extra mile to buy the most hitter, Esrog, whatever it is. It's the type of person that does the minimum. He does the minimal level necessary to abide by all the obligations of the Shulchan Aruch. The remainder of his primary concern and his preoccupation is with Torah study. And his unity with Hashem surpasses that of all of the personality that it is described by an Esrog. Since the Esrog is involved in other efforts besides Torah study, because he is connected to Hashem with the organs of the king. And it's a lower level unity, and it affects godliness on a lower level. So now he's going to explain this whole thing of taking the four species, especially the quality of the Lulav, since it's the bracha that we say. And now the focus is when you take the Lulav and Esrog and you're saying the bracha on the Lulav, you're saying to yourself, this is what I'm striving for. I'm going to put all qualities together, and everything is important. I can't just say only that. But like to focus my attention on now I want to be more like a Lulav. I want to do more learning. So I can be more united with Hashem. And then the Rebbe points out, now we can understand why we shake it up, the Lulav. Shaking in Hebrew is na'anuim. And it talks about this shaking of the 6 points, 4 directions, right, left, up, down, and forward and backward. And what are we doing? We're taking all of these 4 species and rustling them. And what do we do after we rustle them? We then bring it to our heart. And the particular significance of shaking the Lulav is reflected by the required length of the Lulav, meaning 4 hand breadths. Because if you didn't have these extra 4 hand breadths, then you wouldn't be able to really shake it. And you wouldn't be able to rustle it. So now we can see the symbolism because angels up in Shamayim are stationary. They don't move. We want all four aspects of our soul to move, not to be standing still. And how is it that a person is going to be able to move forward to get to that next level? By shaking the lulav, saying, darling, you need to learn. If you don't learn, you're going to stand still. By learning, it'll get you to do even more mitzvahs. By learning, it'll get you to that place of having more love of Hashem and yirat Hashem. Angels are stationary. Souls up in the higher world are stationary. They always remain on that level. Interesting, I was just talking to someone, and she was telling me, like, she doesn't want to push herself, maybe next lifetime. Like, you never know what's going to be if there is a next lifetime. And then you end up stationary, up in Shemayim. You know, she was joking, but not so much joking, you know. So once the soul descends into the body, then it can progress and ascend in an unlimited manner. And this quality of spiritual advancement can only be accomplished when the soul is vested in the physical body. So when we sway in prayers, when, you know, the Chachamim would learn and sway, it really expresses this unlimited ascension of the soul. I am not an angel, in a good way, meaning I don't have to just stand still in my life. I can continuously move and grow and go higher. And that's why in the Zohar it says the soul of man is the flame of Hashem. The soul is similar to a flickering flame, which strives constantly to ascend and be reunited with its spiritual source. So when the soul shakes at the time of learning Torah, it's striving to be united with Hashem. And so even our understanding and our comprehension, even as we try to be undistracted, like can, you know, our mind sometimes can like even make us limited in a sense. But by us like shaking and moving, it's going beyond our mind and saying like, I'm going to try my best to even go beyond my limited intellect to be connected to Hashem and go to a higher level. So, like one would think, I'm going to sit and I'm going to concentrate and I'm not going to move, you know, and it seems like such an opposite state to shake while you're doing this activity. Nevertheless, shaking is necessary during Torah study, because even a Torah that is invested in a human intellectual mind and the wisdom of Hashem, you know, can go beyond even the powers of the mind, like by investing one's time in this learning Torah. So, and this is like showing Hashem that we are trying to unite with Him in a physical way, like by the moving forward and back and swaying.
When you learn Torah, do you move?
Yeah. The Chachamim, if you ever look in the schools, they go back and forth on the big, yeah. Yeah, and or they go like this, or they sing tunes, like whatever they can do to like move the body. And so this unity of Torah causes a forward movement in the performance of mitzvahs. So that's why when we shake the other three species, we say, you need to get close to the Torah. We're bringing all the species together, bring it to the Torah, and shake the Torah. Meaning, make yourself go higher in your learning of Torah, and that will shake up all the other four. Because all the other four get shaken up, all the other three get shaken up by shaking that lulav. And this has a twofold process that's necessary when one is actually studying the Torah, and also shows how it's on a higher level. First of all, Torah study must be in a manner of daily increase in knowledge of Torah. The person studying the Torah must constantly add to his knowledge. And this is a distinction between all other spiritual endeavors, even of prayer. Because prayers, you say the same thing over and over again, although in this class we've learned to do more and more meditations and newer meditations. But it's very standardized. But the Torah requires constant augment and increase. And another reason it's superior, that during Torah learning, there's a lot of weighing and shaking and thinking and intellectual analysis, and then maybe thinking another way, and then dropping that and learning a different different viewpoints. There's so many avenues by which one can reach an explanation and understanding of some Torah teaching. So each idea is explored, revised, and then giving away to another idea, and it might be even abandoned for a third point of view. Thus, the Lulav manner is the mind shaking and moving this way and that way by exploring all points of the Torah and not being satisfied with one explanation of one idea of the Torah. So the shaking, Shackley. Sorry. Yeah. But the Shackley stuff really takes out stains. The Shackley stuff takes out the stains. Okay, no problem. So moving around the 6 points is reminding us that this is how my brain has to work. I have to use my maximum capacity in my brain to look at every vantage point of being analyzed until the person reaches the ultimate understanding of the concept. And there's no end to it. The Torah is infinite. So then the question also is asked, again, why, another reason why the palm branch more than even the Esrog is because in order to really shake yourself up and get to that highest level, you need to humble yourself. And the Lulav represents this humbleness. And I'll explain. If a person has vanity or self-esteem, and I deserve this, and I can't believe I have to go through this, and why I have this in my life, and why things aren't better, and it's like a lack of humility. It's like the person is really full of themselves. And in that way, this impedes the bonding link between one and another and one and Hashem. So we have to express our humility materially, not just in our mind. And each one of these 4 elements of the Lulav and Esrog has some symbolism of humility, but the Lulav takes them all. Yes. So the Esrog, even though it's the most superior of the 4 species, it has both taste and sense, but the taste has some taste, meaning you cook the Esrog and it makes a jelly and it tastes yum. So it's not 100% bittul. It's not another 100% egoless, because it smells good and it tastes good, but it does have some humbleness coming from the word Esrog, Aleph, Taf, Resh, Gimel, Al Tevo Einai Regel Gava, which means let not the foot of pride come upon me. So its humbleness is hidden in the gematria, in the letters of the word. Again, Esrog, Al Tavo Einai Regel Gava. So the humbleness isn't as great in the Esrog compared to the Lulav. If you look at the Lulav, it surpasses the quality of humbleness because, one, it has no smell. That's a smallness in it. 2, the date isn't shaken up with all the Lulav and Esrog. The leaves are. And the leaves really has no taste. So again, its taste is also very hidden and concealed. which is another example of hiddenness and humbleness and ego-less. So this is a hint of bittul. This is a hint of self-nullification, because it's not pridefully saying, here's my date, I taste so good. No, I taste good, but I'm going to use the leaf. The leaf. It's okay, I don't have to show off that I have the most delicious date. I have so much to share with you. I don't know where to begin and where to stop here, but I'll have to wait to share some of the other things until next Wednesday. But let's finish up here at least. Because the fruit, the Esrog, is a superior product of the tree. And but the taste of the date actually is so much sweeter, but it still is so hidden. And leaves actually protect the fruit, they grow with it. And this is also true of our intellect. When we use the Torah learning, it protects our intellect from becoming enslaved by our heart's desires. Meaning our heart believes we should have this. Our heart believes we shouldn't have gone through this. Our heart demands we should have respect from people that we do so much for. Our heart, and then it captures the mind, and the mind becomes enslaved, and the person can get depressed, the person can get angry, they can get swallowed up. So no matter how great or profound one's understanding, he should always be mindful that his knowledge is less than a drop of the sea, and that the Torah is longer than the land and broader than the sea, and that the ultimate truth of Torah is concealed from the eyes of all living beings. So even if you start learning and learning and learning, you have to protect yourself from being arrogant. You remind yourself the symbolism of just the leaf of the tree, of the fruit, not the sweet thing. You don't even have the sweetness yet. You can never really get there till Mashiach comes. All you can do is get higher and higher and higher. And this awareness prevents us from being vain and have self-esteem that can accompany ourselves with Torah erudition. So when we know that the fruit is remote from the leaf, then this gives us the message to give us a sense of self-nullification and humility. Yeah, I know you have to go to work. Good to see you. Thank you for coming and helping set up the party. Thank you. Chag Sameach. And this comes from the word kapot tamarim. Kapot is related to the word bound, meaning when you're a prisoner, you're bound up. You have a master. So this is like a self-nullification that is bound up and united to Hashem, his master. And this is really the Lulav. And this is why the Lulav is the highest of the four species. And only to the extent that someone experiences this self-nullification can he really begin to get to that level. And that's why, Hillel and Shammai had different views. But who won in the end? Hillel. Why? Because he was patient and enduring. He was humble and he was bittul.
How could you learn all this Torah and not do mitzvot?
No, you do mitzvot. You do, but the lesson to yearn to be shaken up. You want all the other aspects of your spiritual life to be shaken up, but you realize to be able to do more mitzvahs, you need more Torah. The ikar is to learn more, and that will help you reach a higher level in all four, in everything. That's the key. Why? Humble is someone who's not aggressive, not fighting, not angry. He goes with the flow, with what Hashem does to him. He knows everything is for the good. Who am I to even have a feeling about anything? Even if someone insults you, even if God seemingly insults you. Whatever you do, you're quiet because you know God is doing it to you. In a way. But no, but inside it won't hurt once you reach that level because you know it's good for you. It's Hashem gives it to you. Just like it's not going to hurt if someone gave you $1 million. Chag Sameach. Yes. So you realize in the end it doesn't hurt you because you know it's for the good. Just like when Rabbi Akiva was stuck with no place, it didn't hurt him. He realized God's protecting me for whatever reason. And in the end it was because there was murderers and gangsters and everything that happened to him was mamish for the good. So now comes the final message, and this is that indeed we want all of the four kinds should be merged into one unifying identity and integrated to such an extent that each individual kind should possess not only of its unique quality, but also the advantage of the other kinds of Jews. So whatever is missing in me, I want to be together in me growing. And what's going to help that? By shaking the Lulav, by immersing myself in more and more, not staying stationary in my Lulav, in my Torah learning. And so to everyone around us, even the people who don't do mitzvot and don't learn Torah are affected by us when we are shaking ourselves up. When we get better, like in the family, let's say one person doesn't learn and doesn't care, and you do the learning, you be a more refined person, you be more soft-spoken, then it draws them to Torah. It draws them to be more like you. And it will influence all the individuals to liberate themselves from their former level and influence in all aspects of their life. Because just like the Lulav causes the shaking of the movement of all the other three kinds, this too in the spiritual world, when we sustain our advancement and we increase, it continuously influences everybody else's life until also they are characterized by the statement, know Him in all your ways. The devotional awareness of Hashem in all of one's activities will be helping us become progressively more spiritually dedicated to Hashem. And then we come to the level to master ourselves. And we come to a higher and higher degree of self-mastery. And just like Hashem says, you put your effort and you tried, you will end up finding. There's a pasuk in Megillah, and the word finding indicates that God's reward will be far beyond the measure of effort expended. Just like when you happen to find something, you didn't work 10 years for it, and it happens to be there. So you do a little effort, and Hashem will give you like such brachas, like a find. And it'll be totally unanticipated greatness compared to the little effort you did to shake up your own Lulav, your own Torah learning. And this eventually will be revealed in an ultimate level when Mashiach will come. And it'll also be in a manner of finding, because Hashem declares, I have found David my servant. This finding refers to the Mashiach, who will come in a holy, unanticipated manner. And everyone who had the time to intensively make that effort will receive this finding. And it will be in such a profundity, with such revelations of everything that was concealed up till now, Techev umiyad mamish in our time. So I wish everyone, as they're sitting in the sukkah and shaking the lulav, even though you're a woman, you can still benefit from the makifim and the drawing down into your heart, and just continuously feel hugged by Hashem in the sukkah, and try to do as much as you can in the sukkah, and definitely be more besimcha, because we are receiving all that was concealed on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur in a very revealed way. Chag Sameach! Thank you. I know everyone has to go, but if you want to do just a little meditation, I'm just seeing myself right away shaking that lulav and pointing my attention to the fact that I have to increase in my learning. No ifs, buts, what, whatever. Because I really want all aspects of my life to reach a higher level and to be shaken up in a good way. And the way to do that is through learning Torah. So see yourself focusing, paying attention, and enjoying the shaking of your lulav like never before. Let it excite you, let it remind you that all people around you are going to start to shake when you shake your own level of spiritual endeavors and your own ascension of your emotional well-being will grow and grow till you mamish feel more like an angel, but an angel that's not stationary, constantly shaking and moving and going forward. Thank you so, so much. And just have a vision of yourself like everything that has been concealed up till now, with all the efforts of your learning Torah, with all your efforts of the Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah coming out into the open and experiencing the changes in a good way, including all the physical blessings you need for your life.
Amen.